The arena erupted the second the flames hit the stage. It wasn't a cheer, it was a detonation of sound, a concussive blast of 20,000 souls screaming as one. Fire, thick and angry, licked the steel rigging of the entrance ramp. Smoke, acrid and smelling of sulfur, poured into the first 10 rows. Chaos. And then she walked out. Through the inferno, a silhouette. The fans couldn't believe it. You can see the footage, the shaky phone videos that would soon break the internet. People are shouting, but their voices are already gone. They are crying, openly weeping, mascara running down their faces. They are recording every second, as if to prove to themselves tomorrow that this was real. This was not a rumor. This was not a leak. This was electricity. This was a secret kept so well that the shock felt like a physical impact. This was the kind of return that changes the narrative, that hijacks the entire industry. The announcers were silent, their professionalism shattered, replaced by the raw, primal gasp of the fan inside them. A whole generation had grown up hearing stories about her. A generation had watched her leave, broken and betrayed. And now, she was back. She looked at the crowd, not with a smile, but with a cold, terrifying focus. The flames were just a warning. She was the fire. She is back, and as the entire world was about to find out, she was bringing the fire and the fury to WWE. Let's pause on that moment. Freeze the frame. Look at the faces in the crowd. This is not the manufactured happiness of a planned celebration. This is emotional whiplash. In the third row, a man who looks to be in his 40s, wearing her faded 10-year-old t-shirt, is holding his head in his hands, shaking. He's not watching her. He's just feeling the fact that she's there. Further back, 2 young women, maybe in their early 20s, are holding each other, jumping up and down, tears streaming. They were probably children when she last wrestled. She was a myth to them, a legend from a bygone era. Now, the myth is standing 30 feet away. Even the security guards, trained to be stoic, to watch the crowd, are turning their heads. One of them, a man mountain with a hardened face, just slowly shakes his head, a disbelieving smile playing on his lips. This is what it looks like when a story transcends the script. This is what happens when the deepest what if of a fan base becomes a reality. The noise is constant, a high-frequency scream that doesn't ebb. It's a collective catharsis. For 5 years they asked, what happened? For 5 years they argued in forums and comment sections, and in 5 seconds, with one burst of pyro, every question was silenced, replaced by a single, deafening, beautiful roar. But every story has another side. While the arena was shaking, a different drama was unfolding backstage. The current champion, the woman who had clawed her way to the top, the Sovereign, had just finished her main event match. She was the new face. She was the present. She was, or so she thought, the future. She was in the gorilla position, the area just behind the curtain, panting, toweling off the sweat, her new championship belt gleaming on her shoulder. Then the music hit. Her music. The champion's face went white. You can't see this footage, but the reports from backstage are vivid. She didn't get angry. She didn't throw a tantrum. She just froze. The blood drained from her face. She looked at the monitor, her eyes wide, and watched as the woman she had replaced, the woman she was meant to replace, walked out and stole her moment, her year, her entire reign. With one look. A veteran producer put a hand on her shoulder. "That's the business, champ," he said, his voice grim. The Sovereign just stared. The roar of the crowd for this ghost was louder than any cheer she had ever received. The fury wasn't just on the stage. It was now in the champion's heart. A cold, quiet, terrifying fury. The castle she had built was just invaded, and the original queen had returned. Deeper in the backstage corridors, the reaction was different. It was a wave of panic. The minimalist animation of this would be stick figures huddled in corners, whispering. Who knew? Did anyone know? The locker room, which had been a place of friendly competition, suddenly felt like a political thriller. Every other superstar on the roster, men and women, suddenly felt their position shift. They were no longer rising stars. They were now supporting cast in her story. Careers were just put on hold. Title opportunities just vanished. The fire she brought was a cleansing fire, and it was about to burn through the entire roster, exposing who was real and who was just filling a spot. The architect, the man who runs the whole promotion, and was reportedly locked in his office, unseen. But the sound of her music, the vibration of that entrance, had rattled his windows too. He had unleashed a force he might not be able to control. This wasn't a business decision. It was a nuclear option. The Fury wasn't just a tagline. It was a description of the chaos she brought with her. The old guard was terrified. The new guard was resentful. And in that one moment, the entire building was united in one singular, terrifying thought. Nothing will ever be the same. By morning, it was no longer a wrestling story. It was a global news story. The shaky footage from the third row was on every major sports network. The return that shocked the world. She's back. Why the world is obsessed. The media frenzy was instantaneous. But they weren't just reporting what happened. They were digging up the why she left. The minimalist animation would show a timeline with a simple stick figure walking away, then a big red question mark. They replayed the footage from 5 years ago. The disastrous press conference. The tears in her eyes. The way she slammed the microphone down and walked out, not just of the building, but of the public eye. She hadn't just retired, she had vanished. She left at the absolute pinnacle of her career, holding the championship she had made famous. She didn't pass the torch. She threw it on the ground and walked away. The betrayal the fans felt then was the source of the ecstasy they felt now. It was the return of the prodigal son, but this son had returned as a warlord. The narrative was powerful, and the media was feasting on it. She wasn't just a wrestler. She was a story of burnout, of mystery, and now of resurrection. But here is the unseen pressure. The legend is always more powerful than the person. The Kira, let's call her Kira, that the fans were cheering for was a memory. She was a perfect, unbeatable, flawless icon preserved in amber. She was the hero of their childhood, the star of their greatest moments compilations. The woman who walked through the flames. She was real. She was 5 years older. She was a person, not a memory. And the pressure to live up to the ghost of her own past is a weight that crushes people. The minimalist animation would show a single stick figure standing on a pedestal, with thousands of other figures below, all holding up phones. Their expectations a tangible, heavy force. You can't just return. You have to be better than the memory. You have to justify the tears, the screams, the years of waiting. The fire and fury isn't just an entrance, it's a promise. A promise to be more than she was. And as she stood in that ring, absorbing the noise, she must have known. The hardest part wasn't the return, the hardest part was staying. The hardest part was proving that the legend was still alive and not just a beautiful echo. The show ends, the trucks are loaded, the arena goes dark. The 20,000 fans go home, their voices hoarse, their hearts full. But where does the fire go when the show is over? We picture a dark, quiet hotel room, hours later. The adrenaline is gone, the ears are still ringing. There's just silence. A minimalist animation shows a simple stick figure. Kira, sitting on the edge of a bed, still in her ring gear, boots off, phone to her ear. She's not the Empress of Fire. She's just a woman. On the other end of the line, it's her sister. "Did you see it?" Kira asks. Her voice is not the roar from the arena. It's quiet. It's tired. The sister's voice, when it comes, is choked with tears. "We saw it, Kira. The whole world saw it. But the tears aren't happy." "Why?" the sister asks, the simple question landing like a stone. "Why would you go back? You were safe. You were home. We finally got you back." The fury the fans saw was a performance, a shield. The reality is this. The reality is that the decision to return, the thing that brought joy to millions, has brought terror to the only people she truly trusts. She left because the fire was consuming her, and now she has willingly walked back into the furnace. The family's perspective is the one we never see. To the world, fire and fury is a cool tagline on a t-shirt. To them, it's a diagnosis. It's the nights they spent listening to her cry from exhaustion. It's the injuries she hid, the pills she took to get through the next show. The fury is what drove her into isolation. It's the obsession that cost her relationships, that made her a ghost at family gatherings. They are the ones who watched her, for 5 years, slowly, painfully rebuild herself. They watched her learn to sleep through the night. They watched her find a smile that wasn't for a camera. They watched her become a sister, a daughter, an aunt. They watched her become Kira again. And then, they watched her pack a bag. They watched her walk out the door, back to the one thing that almost destroyed her. As they watched the TV, as they saw the flames and the smoke, they weren't cheering. They were mourning. They were terrified. Because they know, better than anyone, what that fire costs. And they know that this time, she might not have enough left to pay the price. The following week, the arena is electric, but it's a different energy. It's not the shock of the return, it's the breathless anticipation of the why. The show opens. No pyro, no big entrance, no music. The minimalist animation would show the entire arena as one dark, silent mass. Then, a single harsh spotlight hits the center of the ring. And she's already there, just standing, holding a microphone. The silence is deafening. It's heavier than the noise from last week. The fans start to chant her name, Kira, Kira, Kira. But it's hesitant. This is not the goddess of fire they remember. This is a cold, still woman. She waits. She just waits, unmoving, for a full 2 minutes. The chants die down. The what chants start, and then they die down. There is nothing but the hum of the building. 20,000 people holding their breath. She looks at the hard camera, her eyes boring into the lens, into our homes. She's not looking at the fans. She's looking through them. The fury is gone. The fire is banked. All that's left is a terrifying, absolute calm. This is scarier than the flames. This is the calm at the center of the hurricane. She finally lifts the microphone, the sound of her breath echoing. You all loved the fire, didn't you? The crowd roars, a wave of agreement. Yes, yes. She waits again. You loved the fury. You loved watching me burn. The silence is back, but now it's cold. It's confused. You cheered while I turned to ash, she continues, her voice a low, dangerous whisper. You called me a hero while I destroyed my body for your entertainment. You bought the t-shirts. A few uncomfortable murmurs. This isn't the speech they wanted. And for 5 years you begged for me to come back. You begged for more. You're addicted to the flame. She turns her head, slowly, to the champion, the sovereign, who is watching from the stage. She learned from you. She learned to burn, too. Then, she looks past the champion, past the ring. Her eyes drift up to the private skybox where the architect, the owner, is watching. The minimalist animation shows her stick figure ignoring the thousands around her, pointing one single, simple line, up. But I'm not back for her, she says, gesturing to the champion. I'm not back for you. Her eyes lock onto the skybox. I'm back for the man who sold the tickets to watch me burn. I'm not here to win a title. I'm here to burn the whole thing down. The real fury isn't for the ring. It's for the system. And this time, I'm bringing the matches.